Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. There's a lot happening around the world, a lot of drama, and this actually has been going on for over a year. If you guys can remember way back the Iran tensions, then it was the US-China trade negotiations, which led to the beginning of this year, which was the silver shortage, the global pandemic, silver hitting $11, 65% increase to 30. Now we have the US presidential election, and there's been a lot of stuff in between that. $1 trillion stimulus packages, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. And since there's been so much happening, I try to keep my subscribers, my audience in the loop. That's why you should be subscribed, because on a daily basis, I will give you the newest update on what's happening in the world of precious metals and what you should do about it. Right? I like to give price forecasts, price predictions, and that's where this video is going to be. I've been covering a lot of articles lately. I like to sometimes, sweep the articles under the rug and just share my own opinion. It's so it's so it's such a different perspective when you're hearing it from a third party, when you're hearing other people's opinions, and sometimes it's good to just kind of scoot that aside and look at our own opinions. What do we think? How do we get back to the basics? What does our stack look like? What does our stacking strategy look like? I want to throw that question onto you. Instead of listening solely to mine as I'm going along this video, I want you to reflect along your own strategy. Maybe you need to adjust, adapt to some things. And like I said, there's a lot happening. So the markets are not the same as they were last year or the year before that or ever. There's never been a time in history where there's a financial crisis led by a recession with a global pandemic, one of the most controversial presidential elections, with silver prices like this. There's a lot going on. A lot. And that means we have to adapt, we have to adjust to these times. If you try to use the same formula, the same perspective, the same stacking strategy 20 years ago to today, you would lose a lot of money. You have apps like Robinhood making it seriously easy, almost dangerously easy to buy silver, to invest in the gold and silver. So we see younger generations starting to invest, 20s and 30s. You didn't used to see that back in the day. Yeah, I'm 28 and I was one of the rare, the rare ones. But now there's a lot of people my age that are investing, even making YouTube videos, which is great. It just shows that tech savvy or I guess convenience is getting easier. Just like Bitcoin before, if you wanted to buy Bitcoin, you had to know how to basically read crypto and understand all that stuff. Nowadays, you could just go on Cash App and just buy it. And that is a huge, that can change the market entirely. So now that that's happening with gold and silver, you can see things start to change. And one of this S word, one of the most dangerous words in the precious metals world, which is speculation, is starting to seep in more heavily now as well. Now, I'm sure it has to do a lot with, the younger investors, people, or especially with Donald Trump, how much news, how much stuff he tweets. His tweets can go viral, or his tweets could send the markets either up or down in a panic, fear, uncertainty, doubt. And it's just times are a lot different. There's a lot of tension right now. And with that said, are you are you getting distracted? There's a lot to get distracted from. There's a lot of it's so easy to lose focus and get, and get lost in all this drama. So I'm asking you, are you or do you need to get back to your roots? What was the main reason you started stacking silver? Was it from a SHTF prepper? Was it more of you just wanted to invest into something, or maybe you liked silver, maybe you had it as a kid younger going metal detecting with your grandpa like me, or maybe you just want to invest into something that you think is valuable. Whatever it is, whatever the case is, try to bring that back and remember why. Nowadays, if you get distracted, you can, by the time you notice that you went off the left field, it could be too late or you could be losing a lot of money. For instance, when I first started stacking, I loved poured silver. I liked the pirate treasure feel, and I loved it. I didn't really stack coins, but when I did, I really got into high premium silver, pandas, kookaburras, you name it, Queen's Beast series, anything that was expensive, I bought it. And this actually happened about a year ago. I was making a video, I forget what I was talking about, and I did a percentage of my portfolio, which was high premiums, slabbed coins, poured silver, bullion, and like, not kidding, you could probably find the video somewhere, but like 80% of my stack was high premium silver, when 80% should be the bullion. And when I made that video, I really had to take a look at the direction I was headed and what I was doing. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the pandas and try to get every year and buy them in bulk around the holidays, which is coming up. But if you don't step outside of yourself and look at things realistically, you can really get thrown in a hole. So I got to focus on buying more bullion now. Definitely get my stack more equal, more balanced. Balance is a crucial word. Patience, balance, and budgeting are the most important words in the precious metals world. So now, right now, since this is a forecast video, I want to share some of my thoughts, some of my worries heading forwards. If, and just like my video I posted yesterday or last night, if the dollar strengthens, it's not going to look pretty for gold and silver, especially if the prices are sitting lower once it happens, because there's not going to be much support or stability or foundation. It could come crumbling all the way down. Now, do I think the dollar is going to lose or strengthen? Highly unlikely, but there is scenarios where it could. But the thing is when people are throwing out that stimulus word, the dollar has no hope. $1 trillion stimulus packages. President Trump said he's going to get a stimulus package put together after he's elected, and if he wins or even if he doesn't, there's still going to be some type of money thrown into the economy to keep businesses and people afloat. But at what cost? What consequence? Where's that money coming from? We're $27 trillion in debt, so it's coming from somewhere. It's not coming out of thin air. There's going to be a price to pay. Now, that being said, the dollar couldn't hold up to its name with that large of a number. $1 trillion is a lot of money. It was $3 trillion actually. Back in 2008, the credit crisis, it was billion-dollar stimulus packages. Now we're in the trillions. And things are much worse. If you want to talk about crazy silver prices, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in crazy times. So I'm just trying to show you all different scenarios and how it would play out. So the best case scenario for silver is the dollar weakens. This global pandemic has exposed how broke the United States really is, and it's scary because the USD is the world's reserve currency. So if people start to think that the dollar isn't worth much, then it literally isn't worth much. It's all perception. There's nothing backing it anymore. So it's all perception based. A lot of a couple countries are already talking about or have pulled out of the US dollar, and things could go downhill very fast, especially on that forefront. Now, when I think about next year, I still see silver rising. Not from the same things that are making it rise today, right? But remember, like last year when stock market volatility was one of the main things that pushed silver prices higher? I remember that was like one of the big influencers. Nowadays, people don't even compare stocks to silver anymore, and that's because there's so many factors and much larger, much more influential factors that are affecting it. And that could be good or bad, right? That could be extremely good for silver, or it could be extremely bad for silver, especially this small market and the volatile asset. It's like gold on steroids. So and we could talk about gold as well, because, well, we have to. You can't talk about silver without looking at gold. It all depends on this as well. if things are getting worse, and I think things are going to get worse before they get better, gold and silver will benefit. Since silver is gold's little brother, gold has to lead the way, and silver will follow suit. But silver needs to break off in its own category from this shortage, the supply, in the rising demand in 5G technology, right? 5G technology, electric vehicles, solar panels, the green energy revolution. Silver needs to break off. There's a very low production of silver, but the the demand is skyrocketing. So that has to, and the consequences are, that's why you see these extremely high premiums for silver. The consequences are already starting to happen. The proof is in the pudding. Now, once this happens next year or in a couple of years, when silver breaks off from just solely being stuck to what gold does, that's why we stack silver. That's why my name is Silver Slayer, not Gold Slayer. That's really going to be what pushes things apart when these two metals start their own path of price. I mean, think of it. It doesn't make sense why these two prices are so correlated, are so directly correlated. Gold is used for jewelry, necklaces, earrings, rings, watches. Silver, on the other hand, isn't really used much for that. I mean, there is some, but most silver is used for technology, laptops, cell phones, all that type of stuff. So why, if they're used for such a widely different reason, why are the prices so finely intertwined? I feel like that's not going to hold up forever, especially since silver is an industrial and a monetary metal. So I think next year and a couple years from now, silver is really going to break through. I think that silver is going to get the last laugh. Gold will still be beneficial, but think about it like this. Gold already exploded. It already hit its all-time high ever in 5,000 years a couple months ago. When it broke above 2,000, that's the highest gold has ever been in the history of gold. Silver, on the other hand, it didn't even hit half of its high. So gold has already exploded. It already exploded. You don't want to buy something after it has already exploded. You want to buy it before it explodes, and then once it explodes, you can either sell it or keep stacking. So since gold already made its big bull run, silver hasn't yet. So in silver is more explosive, it's more volatile. So if silver is going to explode in a couple weeks, couple months after gold did, it's going to be even more explosive than gold because it's a smaller market and it rises to higher percents. And if that set gold to all-time highs, think about where it could set silver. We're talking about $50, $60, $70 silver, and that's to say the least, because once the price starts rising, herd mentality, people start buying it, everyday individuals, people from Robinhood, people that's never invested a single penny in their life are going to jump on board, and since it's still a smaller market, it's going to cushion the price even higher. But I still think prices need to stabilize. I don't want silver to just skyrocket to $50 within a couple of months. That's not going to last. It needs to be more of a slow approach, which also gives us time to buy more silver for cheaper, right? You can't be too greedy, you can't be impatient, or that's going to take you out of the game. If you're in if you're in the precious metals world just to make a quick buck, then I'm sorry, but you're in it for the wrong reason, and you're not really gonna get that buck. Gold and silver is a much slower investment. It's a hedge against inflation. If you want a quick bang for your buck, go to cryptos or go to stocks, not gold and silver. And that's what people try to always shed the bad light on. Oh, it was in 2016, silver was $21, and now it's 5, 6, 7 years later, and it's still $21. And you can't look at it like that, because in not even 10 years ago, it was also $50. Right? It's not about that. It's putting your money in a time capsule. Over time, the dollar loses value. Over time, gold and silver hold or rise in value. So in 20 years from now, let's say I have $100,000, I'm going to invest $50,000 in my bank account, or just have it in my bank account, and then invest the other $50,000 in precious metals. So it's $100,000 total. In 20, 30 years from now, that $50,000 in my bank account will have drastically gone down what I can buy with it. Right? Maybe I could buy a Tesla, something around those lines right now, but in 20, 30 years, that $50,000 will probably be about the same purchasing power as $10,000 today. That $50,000 in gold and silver not only would have held its price, but the coins will rise in value as well. So that $50,000 in gold and silver probably turned to 150, 200,000 instead of the 10,000 in US dollar terms. Can you see where I'm going with that? It's definitely more beneficial than I think people realize. And if you're looking at it from glass half empty, then I'm sorry, but you're missing out on a lot. And like these articles are saying, this could be a once in a lifetime opportunity. People thought the Bitcoin boom was their one chance, their one shot, but there's another one happening, and this one actually has stability behind it too, and reason, not just speculation, not speculative price, right? That's what Bitcoin solely was based off of, was speculation. Precious metals will have some real value, and that also will entail why it could stay higher, or why why it, when it comes to the crunch time, where you can see prices. Because with Bitcoin, it was all speculation. You couldn't predict the price whatsoever. It was solely based off of how much money is going in and how much money is going out. Gold and silver, it's not like that. There's supply and demand factors involved. There's so many other things. Mining, how much are they digging out of the ground, at what percent, what rate, how much is getting transported, how much is going into bars and coins and jewelry, how much is going into electronics, what is the production cost, how much is getting scrapped, what's the gold to silver ratio compared to that. There's a lot going into it. It's not just how much money is going in and how much is going out. And that's all going to help in favor of silver, since we know that silver demand is rising and silver production is falling. So anyways, I hope you get where I'm headed with this. I still think silver is going to be probably $25, $30 next year, but if it does hit that 25, or if it does hit 30, I think it's going to hit 35, 40 even quicker, and then probably 50. So I'm not going to say that $50 silver is going to be next year, but I definitely think in the next 3-4 years, probably 3 years, yeah, 3 years. I was gonna say 2, but no, around 3 years, 4 years, silver I feel is gonna be $50. I mean, 9 years ago it was 50, and things were not anywhere near as crazy. So for me to say 3-4 years is gonna be $50 isn't crazy. That's very, very realistic. Very realistic. And if it does hit that 3-4 year $50, I think within a couple of years after that, we're going to see things really take off. Now, $100 silver, it's not out of the question. That could be 10, 20 years from now. Not trying to put that number in your head, because it will give you a false sense of hope, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to mislead my audience. $100 silver, it's never happened, obviously. That's twice as high. It's all-time high. But I do see that happening in a couple decades. Maybe 20 years from now. Maybe even like 15, 20 years from now. I definitely could picture that. Maybe even way sooner, though. We could be off guard. We don't have a crystal ball. The unknown is the main variable to affect these things. No one could have predicted a global pandemic. We can't predict what's going to happen in the future, which could really set off prices. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Are you going to get back to the basics? What is your reasoning for stacking, and are you still fulfilling that same strategy? Are you still on the right track, or do you need to readjust? And it's perfectly fine if you do need to readjust, as long as you can acknowledge it and admit it and change it. That's really what really matters. Right? A lot of people are in denial, or try to justify their actions, but sometimes we really have to take that blindfold off and look at things as they are. That's extremely important with investing, especially with so much drama happening. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you thought this video was educational, informational, or at least entertaining, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. I post daily videos. This was Silver Slayer. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.